Picture a frozen plain, wind howling across endless ice. Through the storm, massive shapes appear. Shaggy mountains of fur and muscle, curved tusks sweeping snow aside, searching for buried grass. Woolly mammoths. For hundreds of thousands of years, they ruled the coldest places on Earth. Then they vanished. Not all at once, but slowly, until only a handful remained on a tiny Arctic island, the last of their kind. This is their story. The woolly mammoth story begins not in ice, but in warmth. Around 6 million years ago, the first true mammoth appeared in Africa. Mammothus subplanifrons lived in tropical environments, looking nothing like the shaggy giants we imagine. This was the root of a family tree that would spread across 3 continents. As the planet cooled, mammoths dispersed into Eurasia. Around 1.5 million years ago, they crossed into North America over the Bering Land Bridge. But the woolly mammoth itself emerged much later, around 700,000 to 400,000 years ago, Siberia. These weren't your average elephants. Evolution was redesigning them for brutal cold. Their teeth changed first. Earlier mammoths had molars for softer vegetation. Woolly mammoths developed teeth with 20 to 28 dense ridges, designed to grind tough, abrasive grasses. Taller crowns, thinner enamel, everything optimized for grazing on frozen steppes. This was just the beginning. Adult males reached 9 to 11 feet tall, weighing 6 to 8 tons. But size wasn't what made them special. What made them extraordinary was how they were engineered for extreme cold. The fur was legendary. A dense woolly undercoat trapped heat close to the skin, covered by guard hairs reaching over 27 inches long. The longest hairs hung along the flanks, creating a skirt that protected the belly from snow and wind. Beneath the skin, a 3-inch layer of fat wrapped the entire body. On the back, a distinctive hump stored brown fat for both energy and heat during brutal winters. Everything about their design minimized heat loss. The skull was high and domed. Ears were tiny, maybe 12 inches across, compared to the massive sails of African elephants. The tail was short, every extremity reduced to conserve warmth. The tusks were massive, spiraling monuments that could grow over 13 feet long. They weren't primarily weapons, they were snowplows. Mammoths swept through drifts to reach buried grasses, and preserved tusks show flat, polished sections from thousands of hours of digging. The molars were sophisticated grinding platforms. A mammoth had 6 sets throughout its lifetime, each replaced as it wore down. The final set measured 12 inches long and weighed nearly 4 pounds. These weren't just large teeth, they were mills, processing the 330 pounds of vegetation mammoths needed daily. Like modern elephants, mammoths had large, complex brains and sophisticated social structures. Matriarchal herds of females and young, with bulls leaving around age 10 to live solitary lives. The herds, probably numbered around 15 individuals, moving together across the frozen steppes. Imagine a landscape unlike anything today. Between 300,000 and 10,000 years ago, the mammoth steppe stretched across the northern hemisphere. Not tundra covered in moss and lichens, but cold, dry grassland supporting vast herds of megafauna. Endless horizons of grass beneath enormous skies. Winters dropped to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Brief summers brought productive growth. Mammoths shared this world with woolly rhinoceroses, cave lions among the largest cats to ever exist, steppe bison with 6-foot horn spans, saiga antelope, and countless smaller mammals. The mammoth steppe was crowded with life. Preserved mammoth dung and stomach contents reveal they ate primarily grasses and sedges, but also willows, birch, spruce, and even cactus spines. They were adaptable, adjusting their diets seasonally. And they shaped the landscape itself. Like modern elephants, mammoths were ecosystem engineers. They trampled vegetation, preventing forests from encroaching on grasslands. When mammoths disappeared, the ecosystem transformed. Birch forests spread where grasslands had been. For tens of thousands of years, woolly mammoths and humans lived side by side. Our ancestors knew them as living, breathing animals thundering across the landscape. The relationship was complex. Archaeological sites show evidence of mammoth hunting. Stone tools bear mammoth proteins. Butchery marks scar bones. Specimens from Wisconsin show clear butchering by Paleo-Indians. Yucca, a juvenile found frozen in Siberia, bears marks suggesting predator kill, followed by human scavenging. But mammoths were more than prey. Their bones became shelters. Over 70 mammoth bone dwellings are known from the East European plain. Their tusks became tools, weapons, and art. And they were inspiration. In 1864, French archaeologist Edouard Lartet found mammoth ivory carved with a mammoth engraving in France. The first, widely accepted evidence that humans and extinct animals coexisted. More importantly, the first contemporary depiction known to modern science. Mammoths appear in Ice Age art across Europe, rendered with stunning accuracy. Rouffignac Cave in France contains over 150 mammoth images. At El Pindal in Spain, a mammoth bears what appears to be a heart-shaped hunting wound. Portable art, carved mammoth figurines, spear throwers, all created by people who observed living mammoths. The woolly mammoth was the third most depicted animal in Ice Age art after horses and bison. These weren't crude sketches, but detailed renderings capturing anatomical features: domed skulls, curved tusks, shaggy coats, small ears. The artists were watching them move, studying them with keen eyes, dependent on understanding the animals around them. Around 15,000 years ago, the world began to warm. The last ice age was ending, and mammoths faced catastrophic change. As temperatures rose, the mammoth steppe shrank. Cold, dry grasslands that had stretched from Spain to Canada fragmented, replaced by wetter environments and forests. The vegetation changed. Where grasses had grown, birch trees took over. The food supply dwindled. Environmental DNA from permafrost reveals the extent. Between 42,000 and 6,000 years ago, 90% of suitable mammoth habitat disappeared. The hospitable areas that remained were increasingly restricted to Arctic Siberia. Different populations didn't die out simultaneously. This was a gradual process over thousands of years. Some regions lost their mammoths earlier. Some populations held on in refugia, pockets of suitable habitat surrounded by changing landscapes. And there was another factor: humans. Climate change made mammoths vulnerable by reducing their numbers. Then humans arrived, adding predation pressure to already stressed populations. Studies show that by 6,000 years ago, if each human killed just one mammoth every 3 years, the species would go extinct. Most mainland populations disappeared between 12,000 and 10,000 years ago. Environmental DNA suggests mammoths may have survived in Alaska's interior until 7,000 years ago. On St. Paul Island, a small population persisted until around 5,600 years ago. But one population survived even longer. Wrangel Island sits in the Arctic Ocean off Siberia, a harsh, mountainous place swept by fierce winds. Today, it's known for polar bears. 4,000 years ago, it was the last refuge of the woolly mammoth. Around 10,000 years ago, rising sea levels cut Wrangel Island from the mainland. A small group of mammoths, perhaps 8 breeding individuals, found themselves isolated. They should have died from inbreeding and genetic collapse. But they didn't. Against all odds, the population recovered. Within 600 years, their numbers grew to 200 to 300 individuals. And there they stayed, stable for 6,000 years. While mammoths vanished everywhere else while the Bronze Age began, while pyramids rose at Giza, woolly mammoths still walked on Wrangel Island. Genomic studies reveal their story. The island mammoths showed signs of inbreeding and low genetic diversity. Moderately harmful mutations accumulated over time. But the most severe mutations were being purged. Individuals with the worst genetic defects didn't survive to reproduce. The population was managing its genetic health, slowly but steadily, remaining demographically stable throughout 6,000 years of isolation. So what killed them? That's the mystery. Humans didn't arrive until 400 years after the mammoths disappeared. No evidence of hunting exists. The population showed no gradual decline. By all indications, they were fine until suddenly they weren't. Isotopic analysis provides clues. Toward the end, sulfur levels increased, possibly indicating contaminated water from weathering rock formations. Perhaps a virus arrived via migratory birds, striking a population with reduced immune diversity. Perhaps a catastrophic weather event created a starvation crisis the small population couldn't survive. It was probably just some random event that killed them off, one researcher noted. If that random event hadn't happened, we would still have mammoths today. The last woolly mammoth died around 4,000 years ago. No one witnessed it. No human recorded the moment. The species that had survived for hundreds of thousands of years, that had weathered ice ages and climate upheavals, simply ended on a remote Arctic island, leaving no trace of its passing. What they leave behind. We know woolly mammoths better than almost any extinct animal. We have their frozen bodies preserved in permafrost. We have their complete genome sequenced. We have their dung, footprints, bones scattered across 3 continents. And we have the art, those stunning cave paintings created by people who watched them move. Climate destroyed their habitat. Human hunting accelerated decline. And even the survivors on Wrangel Island, having weathered 6,000 years of isolation, succumbed to something sudden we still don't understand. Their story resonates today. Species are disappearing at rates not seen since the dinosaurs ended. Many face the same threats: habitat loss from climate change, pressure from human activities, small isolated populations vulnerable to catastrophes. The mammoth's extinction offers lessons. Genetic diversity matters. Population size matters. But even stable populations can be vulnerable to sudden events. Perhaps most powerfully, the woolly mammoth reminds us the world is older, stranger, and more fragile than we sometimes remember. Only 4,000 years ago, while humans built cities and developed writing, while civilizations rose, giant fur-covered elephants still walked the Arctic. They were our contemporaries, separated from us by only 200 generations. And now, they're gone, leaving only bones and stories and those haunting images on cave walls, rendered by artists who knew them as living beings, who watched them in the snow and wind, and felt compelled to capture them for eternity. The last mammoth is gone, but its story survives, preserved in stone and ice and DNA, a reminder of what the world has lost and what we still have the power to save.